Latanya Sweeney is a professor at Harvard, and she noticed something really strange when she Googled her name. She noticed that all of a sudden there were these advertisements, these AdSense or Google AdSense advertisements for companies that can do background checks to see if someone has a criminal record. Now, she thought that that was strange because she thought, okay, why are these advertisers assuming that I have a criminal background? So she decided to do her own study to basically see whether or not white names have the same results when it comes to the advertisements, and if most black names, or traditionally black names, have the same result that she had when she Googled her name. Well, she found out that black names are 25% more likely to get that type of ad. Sweeney has evidence that black identifying names are up to 25% more likely to be served with an arrest-related ad. There is discrimination in delivery of these ads, is what she said.
That's super interesting. And we talk often about all the different disadvantages that minorities have in this country. And people say, oh yeah, you love to bring that up. But there's a purpose behind it, which is to make sure that we can address them and get beyond them. And it's not just to be like, oh yeah, I don't even believe in affirmative action. And said progressives can argue with me about that, et cetera. So it's not for some political goal. It's to show you what's happening in the country so that, you make informed decisions. And look at that. I mean, we've talked about it in the case of foreclosures and loans and all the different, and they get charged more, minorities do. They get targeted more by bankers in the quote-unquote ghetto loans, et cetera. Now, if you just do a search of African-American names, you're more likely to come up with ads for, criminal-related things. It's maddening.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a conspiracy. Google has algorithms.
Yes.
They don't say, okay, all right, let's, every Latanya, make sure you put an ad for a criminal thing there.
No, that's not how it works. These ads are based on what people click for, what people are more likely to click for when they're making searches. So I want to give you guys more detail into how she did this study, because I think that's important. So Sweeney gathered this evidence by collecting over 2,000 names that were suggestive of race. For example, first names such as Trayvon, Lakeisha, and Darnell suggest the owner is black, while names like Lori, Brendan, and Katie suggest the owner is white. Sweeney entered these plus surnames into Google.com and Reuters.com and examined the ads they returned. Most names gathered ads for public records. However, black identifying names turned out to be much more likely than white identifying names to generate ads that include the word arrest. Okay, now after this happened, of course, people were contacting Google to get their response, and they wanted to know why this is happening. Is it really their algorithm? Does it have something to do with Google AdSense? And here's what their response was. AdWords does not conduct any racial profiling. We also have an anti and violence policy, which states that we will not allow ads that advocate against an organization, person, or group of people. It is up to the individual advertisers to decide which keywords they want to choose to trigger these ads.
So that indicates that the advertisers are choosing black names to put their ads up about arrests and criminal records, et cetera. They think it's going to work better. But look at the assumptions. Now, look, I'd love to see their data, to see what they come up with. And I'm not prejudging that either, okay? But what is the real world effect of these kind of assumptions and stereotypes? Trayvon Martin, as an example, gets shot. Now, no matter what you think of that particular case, what happens next is, well, the black guy or 17-year-old lying dead on the floor, they don't check. They do check his criminal record, even though he's dead. The guy who shot him, the adult who shot him, they don't even bother checking his criminal record.
I know.
Right? Because what's the assumption? Black equals arrest, criminal record. Non-black does not equal that, and hence we get what happened as an example in the Trayvon Martin case.
So let me ask an extremely inappropriate question, because I'm curious to see what you think. And I'm sorry, I know people are going to be offended by this, but I'm wondering, if you know that you have these disadvantages by naming your child something that's considered a traditionally black name, should you refrain from doing so?
Look, that's exactly the kind of questions we were supposed to ask here.
Right, and I'm not advocating for that. I'm just curious what everyone thinks, because if I were in that position, for instance, if I knew, okay, an Armenian-sounding name will have a disadvantage when it comes to the job market, right, or job force or whatever, then I'm going to name my daughter Lori, or Katie, or whatever it is.
Right. Well, look, so this is something that immigrants in this country have been dealing with for a long, long time. So, for example, Asian immigrants, I decided to throw in the towel. Sung Hoon, you crazy? No, my kid's name is Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, Steve-O's real name, Sung Hoon Oh. Okay? Okay, who's gonna go with Sung Hoon, please, right? Look, my name, Uygur, is actually not pronounced Uygur. In Turkish, it's Uygur.
Yeah.
Okay, good luck. Good
Even
luck, okay?
your name,
Okay.
with the so-called Americanized way that you pronounce it, is kind of putting you at a disadvantage, right?
Sure, of course. I mean, sticking with Cenk Uygur was a disastrous mistake. If you only care about, now I don't regret it at all, but if you only cared about your career, right? Where do I come out on it? Man, yeah, I would certainly think about it, and I would be reluctant, okay, to name my kid, to answer your specific question, an African-American name. On the other hand, I named my kid Prometheus, so I don't know which way that cuts, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means in terms of things, but okay. Perhaps we should ask JR.
I'm on the do what you like side of this argument. When people decide not to, this is one of those conversations that's always had. And then some people actually get offended and say, why would you name your daughter Jennifer, or Becky? So, so if I'm not on the line of having to look down on someone for doing whatever the hell they want with their kid's name. But then on the same time, if someone wants to name their kid a black sounding name, I have no problem with that either. But just know, if you do, as long as you know what society we live in, you got to tell your kids what they're facing so they can be prepared to counteract that. It's just the only way it works. I mean,
Did you consider it when you were naming Wyatt?
Well, I'm not a fan of the quote black sounding names, but I don't even know what those would be. But
Oh, come on,
No, I mean, but like this so seem more for like women than boys,
Yeah,
the black sounding names.
Go with LaQuisha.
Yeah, you can match those with girls' names more than boys' names. What's a boy's black sounding name that's the equivalent of LaQuisha?
Yeah, there's traditional African American names like the most stereotypical
Tyrones
one is
and stuff,
Tyrone,
yeah.
right? But that's not the equivalent of LaQuisha.
Right.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So
because Tyrone's a real name.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't created from a couple
just
different.
keeping it real, okay?
But no, it's that's the thing. But as long as you know, but I don't believe in trying to now, and I'm not going to go for the hardest word of selling out. But I don't believe in having to try and change what you want to do. If you really feel you want to name your kid whatever you want to, for that sake, you just have to prepare them mentally for what they're going to have to deal with.
Right. For example, you could name your kid Dwayne, and they could be pretty successful, and you could name your kid LeBron, and it turns out they could be pretty successful.